Hi everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video. And it's been a long time since we checked in about how Oval was doing, how we're doing, and all that sort of stuff. I really enjoy recording the stuff out on site, but from the feedback I've had about these sorts of videos, it's really nice for people to keep in touch with how the actual business side of things is going. Not necessarily because anyone really cares how well Oval is doing, but more about discussing the day-to-day struggles, the pressures and everything else that if you're a business owner watching this, you probably feel in your business. And it's nice for me as well because I get to talk about it because it's very easy to keep a lot of this stuff bottled up and not start discussions on really good topics. And so that's why I want to do this. These series of videos all started about showing you how we were progressing the unit. We just got this unit a couple of years ago now, and how we were going to fit it out and all of that. And we're still going to do a bit of that. But it kind of developed then also into discussing things about the business, the ups and downs, and also sparking conversations that I can learn from as well. So in this video, we're going to run through how things have been. I think the last video was released towards the start of the year. So we're well into the year now. As I sit here now, it's July. So we're kind of halfway through the year. So we're going to do like a bit of an update as to where we are. And it's very close to our business year ending, which is end of August. So we're going to have a little bit of a look as to how things are going. So let's get into it and let's have a chat. So the big thing in renewables and what's kept me in it for so long, since I was 16, I'm 31 now, has been how fast-paced it is. Now that is really good. If you're entering the market, you can enter and get the products that everybody wants. I'm talking more domestically here where, customers are watching a lot of YouTube videos and they're discussing a lot on forums. And if you're a new company entering the market, you can kind of just look at those new products coming out, and kind of that can be where you start from. For companies that are a bit more established like ourselves, we obviously have products that we've been using for quite a long time. Things like Solar Edge, Tesla, the Solis inverters, and in all sort of different areas of the industry, like the EV charging industry and all of that. All these different areas have these established brands and have these established products, and they're still fantastic products. But at certain times in the history of this industry, there are leaps. Things can kind of bumble away a little bit in the market where kind of you've chosen the right equipment, you're selling that equipment, everything's pretty good. But then there's this big leap in innovation or a big price drop that opens everything up into the market, more people into the market. All these sorts of things tend to happen. And what's happened recently is there's been a new product coming to the market that seems like every customer in the UK wants in the solar and battery world, and that has been the SIG Energy equipment. Now, before the SIG Energy equipment, our main products were the Solar Edge equipment, the Tesla Powerwall to a degree, the Libby, the MyEnergy Libby, and the Alpha battery system, and a few others. But they were kind of our more trusted brands, and that's what we sold to people. And they're still, even as I sit here now, they're all still really good products. But when a piece of equipment like the SIG Energy battery storage system comes out, it is very surprising how quickly a big leap in innovation like what they've done makes the rest of the equipment look very similar. Now they all have benefits over each other and negatives over each other, but it's surprising how close they all look to each other once you get this system that is quite a good chunk above the rest of the market. So the SIG Energy equipment, and this isn't a sales video, not that any of mine really are, but the SIG Energy equipment is massively flexible. You can mix and match different battery modules within it. So you can have like the new 10 kilowatt hour, the 8, the 6, the 5, and you can have them in any sort of order, meaning that you haven't necessarily got to worry that you're going to fit a piece of equipment and the customer has then got to rebuy the 10 kilowatt hour module or this, whatever. You've got a big range of equipment that you can sort of trade in for that. So if you only need an extra 5 kilowatt hours, you don't need an extra 10 kilowatt hours, then the customer, we can just bolt on the 5. There's a massive range of single phase and 3-phase inverter sizing. So you can really kind of hand pick the size of system for that property. The gateway is really good. It's quite big. I know they're looking at that, but it's quite big. But it's really good because it's got all the circuit protection in there. And just the setup of it, the commissioning of it is really good. And the app is the best app in the renewables game I've ever seen. It is, I know it's pretty niche, but the level of information you can get from that app, and we're planning to do loads more videos on that, but it's the best one out there. And so on all fronts, it is pretty much the best system out there at the minute, which for a business that has established brands within it, that's taken us probably a little bit longer than I would have liked for us to really get into that. But it's kind of like a bit of a breakup sometimes when you look to change a brand or add a brand in, because you know that you've got to kind of have those conversations with the other brands and go, look, you know, we're not selling as much of your products now because there's this one come out. You don't want to follow the crowd as much as well sometimes, because sometimes it can be a decision based on price, and we've never made those decisions based on price. We never look to a system just because it's cheaper than another. It's always on its technical merits, and that's what got me excited about the SIG Energy equipment. And that's why it's probably taken us a little bit longer, if I'm to make an excuse as to why it's taken us a little bit longer to take up the SIG equipment, because I didn't, even though it was cheaper than some of the other equipment, I didn't want to just take it on because it was cheaper. It needed to stack up technically, which it does. So all of that has kind of meant that we've had then back office training on how to design the systems, how to talk about the systems to customers as well, and how to fault find, how to commission, and all this other stuff. So it's taken us a little bit of time, but I'm really glad that we've done that now and we're bringing it in. We've just picked up 30 grand's worth of the equipment from a new supplier, Waxman Energy, that have started stocking it, because they've had that same process where they had their established brands, still has them, but has decided to add one in. That conversation is probably even harder for them. And we've picked up a load of equipment there. And when a company like ourselves, which we aren't a massive company, we're bigger than some, we're smaller than others, when we look to put 30 grand of our cash flow into a product, we want to know that it's going to sell. And we want to know that it's a good product and that we're not going to lose money over that. Yes, things happen and equipment drops in value, or there's a problem that comes out. We can only be so careful. But I think what it's highlighted to us is that the market has moved. They want a more intelligent system like the SIG Energy, and they want an app that is as clear but also packed with information as the SIG Energy app. So really excited to push forward and do some more videos on the channel for that, because there's a lot to talk about there and it has set the bar pretty high. That kind of leads us on to some of the other struggles that we've had with holding stock. So we've been doing Tesla Powerwalls for quite a while, and the Tesla Powerwall 3, Tesla's new product, is probably one of the best ones out there as a solution. The SIG Energy does beat it, in my opinion, at the minute, because it's more flexible, more modular. The app is a bit better, all this other sort of stuff. Like I say, the SIG is kind of sat there at the top of the tree at the minute. How long it'll be there for, I'm not too sure, but it is sat at the top of the tree. But what we've got is, at the start of this year, probably when the last video came out, there was just this insane demand for Tesla Powerwalls. So we made the decision to buy the stock, because the stock was quite hard to come by. I think I've got about 6 or 7 out there in the warehouse that we've just literally not been able to sell. There was a whole Elon Musk thing with Donald Trump and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to go into all that. I think I've posted some stuff about that. But that has also had a negative effect on people that have been inquiring to us. People have literally come through our inquiry system and gone, I want this system that does this, this, and this. I do not want Tesla because of Elon Musk. And I'm sat there thinking, okay, fair enough, that's absolutely fine. I'm thinking, what the heck am I going to do with all these Tesla Powerwalls out in the unit? So that might happen with the SIG Energy equipment for whatever reason. We can't be sure that that won't happen to other brands. Then we've also got things like the Solar Edge side of things. So the Solar Edge side of things with their kind of ties to Israel and everything's happening out there, even though they've moved pretty much their entire operations out to America, they've still got that tie. And the Solar Edge equipment, in my opinion, is still the best one to go for. Yes, the battery's a little bit dated. They have got a new one coming out. Some of their equipment is a little bit dated and does want a revision. The app wants a little bit of improvement. But as a hardware, I think it's one of the best ones out there. I prefer it over the SIG Energy just because of the panel-by-panel monitoring and everything like that. I've done hundreds of videos on the Solar Edge side of things, so I won't bore you with it all. But for me, and what I've got in my house is the Solar Edge equipment. But as more of a mainstream product, if I can't sell the Solar Edge, the SIG Energy is the next one in line. And a lot of people are requesting the SIG. So there's all these challenges that are something that we as a business can't control, but we have to be really careful where we put our cash flow, because that cash flow is literally the blood in the veins of the company. And if you run out of that, you're not paying bills, you're not paying staff, you're not paying rent, all these sorts of things. So you need to be really careful with that. And that's something that we've learned, but also started to be even more careful about now as the world seems to be a bit more kind of here, there and everywhere. So that's kind of a little bit of an overview to the equipment that we've kind of looked at and that we've had to make some internal decisions on which direction do we go. But my promise to everyone watching this and to the team is that we'll never choose anything just because of the price. If it is technically better and cheaper, happy days. That's like winning a lottery. But it has to be technically better. It has to stand up on its technical merits. Otherwise, we don't fit it. We will never be the cheapest. And most people that are running companies in the electrical industry or whatever industry you're in watching this will never be the cheapest. And there's always a tendency to try and match pricing. You get all these adverts that say, we'll match or beat any price. We're not that sort of company, because if we were to do that, we would never want to drop the quality of our installs. We would just be basically earning no money from doing that. So we'd never turn up and go, actually, we can just trim a day off. We won't bother with that little bit. The quality of our work is everything. And to be honest, that's the only thing you can ever use as a comparison between you and other companies, because another company will always be cheaper. Another company will be always more expensive. There's always this mixture in the market. The only thing you can really stand on is your service and your kind of workmanship if you're in like a trades business like what we are. So those are the things that are ring fenced. And we've just been looking at ways that we can try and make the business more efficient, whilst also improving the quality of our service, but also our product offering. And that's why we've been looking at the SIG and what have you. So yeah, that's kind of the headache of having a business that's got active jobs, active members of staff, but also have to be forward looking as to what the trends are coming down the road. And yeah, there's loads of that sort of stuff out there, and having the headspace to do that is really tricky, but it's absolutely essential. But moving on from all of that, things at the company are really good. There's obviously the normal pressures of pricing and mistakes that get made. You get the wins, the losses, that you can never process your way out of this sort of stuff. I mentioned in the State of the Oval address at the beginning of this year that this year was the year of the team. Last year was the year of the process, and that year of the process doesn't stop. We have a refocus on the year of the team. And since that, we've been putting the team through additional training. So one of our guys has done all these telehandler courses. We're looking at loads of other different types of training, which I'll probably give you all an update on as we go through doing this next video, whenever we get a chance to do it. But what we've also done with it being the year of the team is we've invested, rather than just trying to train one person up to do as much as we can, which is great, and that's what we do want to do. We've also understood that we need to have more people in the team to handle the day-to-day running of it. Because myself and Jess, my wife, who co-own this company, we want a life outside of this company as well. And that is really, really hard to have when you're a business owner, because the business becomes, right from its inception, since I started it in 2019, it becomes your baby, and you are involved in it every waking minute, from the minute you wake up and look at your phone, there's usually a message there about work or an email about work, to the point where you're putting that phone away to go to bed, your brain is in work. And so we're trying to build the team to work without us now, so we can go on holiday and all this other sort of personal stuff that allows us to have a life outside of the company. That doesn't mean we don't love it. We do absolutely love being in that and being kind of in charge of our own destiny almost. And that is good. But that comes with the positives and the negatives. So we're at this stage as a company now where we're trying to build the company up to allow it to work and flourish without us being involved in every little nugget. And that involves us hiring people to run things like the pricing. Alex runs our pricing side with a lot of input from Jess. I'm only really involved in that on the technical level. If there's a technical question that Alex or Jess can't deal with, and usually if them two can't deal with it, I've got some head scratching to do to get myself up to speed with it. But allowing that headspace for me to work in different parts of the business is really, really good. As well as that, we've had such a huge influx in inquiries, and that will not be sustained. The reality of solar PV and battery storage and renewables is that you go through these peaks and troughs. And in previous years, if you've been a follower of ours for a little while, you'll remember that we did close off inquiries. Now, I refuse to do that again, because one issue we had coming out of that was trying to let everybody know that we were now open for inquiries. And if people miss the video where we say we are open for inquiries, they continue to tell people that we're not open for inquiries. And that can have a detrimental impact to your business, and was probably the wrong move. We should have been braver and built the team around those inquiries, but you live and learn. We did what we thought was right at the time, and I'm a big believer in doing that. Don't beat yourself up about the mistakes of the past, because you made the best decision on the information you had at the time. And so we give everything like that due consideration and go, right, is this our best move? And not worry too much about if it's going to feel like it was a mistake in the future, because you can't be right about everything. So this time we're scaling the business up to meet those inquiries, whilst also being cautious that the inquiries will drop off again. And that is a message to anyone entering in renewables. If you've entered in this period of high demand, just be a little bit careful not to put all your eggs in the one basket, because the inquiries, unless you're very, very lucky, will tail off again as new government budgets come out, or something happens. Things go up and down. I've been in this game long enough to know that and have experienced that on quite a few occasions. So as part of our growth as a company, we've added a new junior designer who is under the watchful eye of Alex Arth, who's now our senior designer, just to try and get those inquiries back as quick as we can. We obviously want to get our inquiries back to people as soon as possible, because in the world of Amazon and one-click orders, people don't want to wait now. But we're also very conscious that we also want to do a true design, because these systems aren't an out-of-the-box fix for every property. Some properties you could just go and buy a bog standard kit and it would probably be the best size system for you, but the majority of them need an individual design and an individual to look at them and go, right, and have a conversation with you as a customer to go, okay, well, what are you trying to achieve? We have some customers now that want to just have a battery storage system to charge it up during the evening time and run their home during the day because their roof isn't suitable for solar, or they don't want solar in the house, or they can't have solar because of where they live in terms of like conservation area or all these sorts of things. And so just selling boxes and sticking them on walls is not something that we are into. That's why we've invested in the design team. We spend probably about 100 grand a year on people doing designs, full time doing designs for people, because that is where our technical ability is. When people come to us, they aren't just getting any old thing that's off a website somewhere that then we come and slap in a day. We have conversations with customers, we design it properly, we price it fairly, and we install it with care, and we look after those people once that system is installed. The actual real issues or the real work happens after the installation is done. The on-site guys might not agree with that because they are sometimes quite challenging to install. But for you as a customer, if you're a customer watching this or a potential customer, what you'd probably agree with is that once you've got all this kit installed, it hasn't just paid itself off at that point, or you're not getting an instant benefit from it. It's got to be in there for some time for you to start to see how it works, what tariffs are good to go on to. You might see a flashing light somewhere that you're not too sure what it does. And you want to make sure you've got a company that actually wants to help you through that. Because being honest, we don't get paid to do any of that. We've got to make sure that the business is set up to help customers that have those questions, have those issues, or just want to celebrate some of the wins. Because it's okay buying really good equipment, but I would say it is more important choosing the right company to fit it, because they're the ones that are going to help you through making the most out of that equipment, getting it back up and running when something goes inevitably wrong, because whatever kit you fit, something will happen and something will go wrong. But anyway, we've gone through this really high influx of inquiries and we wanted to get them back to people as quickly as we can. Our current target is 2 weeks. We're working more at about 4 weeks at the minute, which we are really trying to bite down on. But there's just so many coming through the door, which I'm really grateful for. And thank you to everybody that has inquired. Even if you haven't gone with us, I really appreciate us being in the running for that. It makes a massive difference to us as a company. And it shows that we're doing something right, that you want to come to us, even if we don't win the final job. And if you have chosen us to be the installer, then hopefully you see the difference with using us potentially over others that maybe don't value the same things that we value. So thank you to you guys as well. But going forward, we've also, on the installations team, we've hired a new apprentice. So Josh has started with us 17, well, he's just turned 18 now, and we're taking our first young apprentice through. We've put 2 adult people through their apprenticeships, and now we've got Josh going through his apprenticeship, a little bit like what I did, straight from school, straight through the apprenticeship side of things, and getting him to be the oval engineer of the future, which is really cool to start doing. And we are looking to push things forward as well with other on-site employees, which is really exciting and gets me more into the business side of things than being on the tools all the time. But I never want to quite hang on my screwdriver, because I love that part of the job. So moving on from the struggles of growing a company when you've got such variable and up and down inquiries, it's hard to build that funnel to be just constant at a high level. But moving on from that, anyone that's watched the Over Renewables content for a while knows I'm a massive geek for this sort of stuff, and it is my true passion. I found that calling and I'm really leaning into it. And that meant that when I got the opportunity to start a podcast with a good friend of mine, Mark Allison from the Apprentice 1-to-1 YouTube channel, Powersonic is his installations business, I leapt at the chance of doing it. So that's why we've got all this green wall stuff just here and this other microphone here. So we run a separate business as well called the Renewables podcast. So if you haven't already started listening to that, then head over to Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast from to have a little watch of that, because we have people in these chairs, these sofas where I'm sat now, discussing things around the renewables industry. So that could be customers. We've had a couple of my customers on, which was a little bit nerve-wracking, but we had those on. We've had other installers on as well to give us their point of view. We've had industry bodies on like MCS, NIC, NAPIT. We've had, what else? We've had heat pump installers on. We've had loads of different people on. Now that for a year and a half now has been a little bit of a passion project for me and Mark, but we've just done the installer show. And what we found was there is a huge demand for good quality, in-depth conversation around the renewables industry. Like I've mentioned right at the start of this video, it's always changing. It's very hard for installers, customers, industry bodies to keep on top of it. And we want to play our small little part of trying to bring all those people together. That has obviously meant that there's been an extra drain on my time, even though I enjoy it a little bit like I enjoy Over Renewables. It's a bit of a different enjoyment because I just get to geek out with an hour for somebody sat across from me. But I've really loved doing it, and I'm really excited to push that forward. But it has been an extra drain on my time. So trying to be a little bit more balanced in terms of how much time I spend on the renewables business, the podcast business, and just trying to have a bit of a life outside of all of that is something I'm really trying to work on, and is quite tricky to do. But yeah, really happy how all the renewables business and the renewables business and the podcast business is going. And really looking forward to pushing both those on in the future. Okay, so that's enough of me sat on this sofa. Let's head into the unit and have a look at what we've got in there and take you through some of the challenges that we've found. Okay, so we're out into the warehouse now, and these are our new standard panel. So we used to offer customers a premium and budget panel, but the panel pricing has come down a lot on these panels, which meant that our premium panel was only a couple of pounds more than our budget one. And so as a company, we decided to actually only offer one panel, unless it's a bespoke job and we need some really high wattage panels or something like that. But as our standard kind of install pricing goes, we decided to use one panel because that's allowed us to buy them in bulk and actually make up that difference in the panel pricing. So we've got these Perlite 455 watt panels now, which are bifacial. So anyone that's not in the renewables game, that basically means there's not a back sheet. A bit like these ones, you can see it's all white at the back. So these are the non-bifacial ones, which means that no light can come through from the back of these panels. With these ones, you can see that you can see the module on the front. So we've got all the individual cells on the front here, and then you can also see these cells on the back, which basically means that if you've got light that gets reflected, because you've got a light surface on your roof, say it's like a flat roof system and the roof is light grey or white or something like that, it can bounce off that roof and then generate from the back as well. Got to remember, panels are only actually about 20% efficient. We're sort of creeping up towards 30% now, but they're only around 22, 23, 24% efficient. So actually adding the generation from the back can help. I'm a little bit skeptical that it helps as much as what the brands say, but apparently it does. So these are our now standard panel, which were previously our premium offering, just because the price has come down so much on them. But interestingly, what we've got is, and this again is a difficult thing as a business we've got to try and keep across, is keeping up to date with the latest innovations in panels, a bit like we have to do with the batteries, and not keeping so much stock of these panels that actually a new one comes out next month, which means that all the stock of those panels we've got is now they're still a good panel, but are smaller than what would be available. So yeah, that's tricky. But we've got these ones here, and we've got another, as I look at it, 3 pallets of panels of these ones, which there's 36 on a pallet. And pretty much think everything apart from one of those is sold, which is good. But where these are standing here, we've actually got 3 generations of the Perlite panel. So these are our 455 watt panel. These here are our 415 watt panel, which I've got on my house. And then we're actually the first people in the country to have, oh, that's heavier than I thought. These ones just here, we'll maybe get a bit of a closer up shot of those in a minute, but these are 440 watt panels. So just in this small little space, we've got the innovation that's happened over like a year, maybe just over a year. And there's been other ones like 425 watt and everything. So we're trying to really juggle offering all of our customers like the most up-to-date panel technology, whilst also making sure we've got the stock of it at the right price to actually sell it. Yeah, we've streamlined the stock that we keep to make sure that we're only really keeping one panel in stock now, just because it simplifies the pricing, but also means we get these really high quality panels at the best price. So yeah, they're the panels that we keep. Let's go and have a look at the batteries. So this is our latest product that I've mentioned in this video before, which is a SIG Energy system. So in this here, there are thousands of pounds worth of equipment, and by the time this video has gone out, this will have all gone out onto site. So there won't be this here, so don't even think about it. But what we've got in here, we've got lots of different things. We've got the energy controller, inverter. I don't know why people just don't call it just an inverter, but we've got inverters. We've got the gateway as well, which puts the SIG Energy system as like a backup system, so into island mode, and means that your house can run from that SIG Energy system. We've got battery modules, we've got floor stands, we've got loads of different things. And SIG Energy, by the time this video comes out, will have launched their 10 kilowatt hour module, which I think is like 9 kilowatt hours usable. But if you're a customer that already has an 8 or a 5, you can add one of those 10s to your stack. So you aren't kind of technically limited by what you've already got installed. And that's the whole flexibility with SIG, which is really cool. So yeah, all this here is going to go onto the shelving. If we just head down here, anyone that knows me knows how much of a SolarEdge fanboy I am, but we have, again, been making a business decision to try and scale back all the stock that we've been keeping, just because it's dead money, but also the space that's available here. So we're running this down to effectively give us one side of SolarEdge, because we're not going back on SolarEdge. SolarEdge is definitely the best system out there in my view, but we understand that the market is moving more towards the SIG Energy system at the minute. So we're basically going to scale this bit back, so this side is SolarEdge and the other side is SIG Energy equipment, just to get it away from just being stood on a pallet somewhere. So we're trying to make best use of that space. So that'll be good when we get all that space back from that side and this side, and it's nice to be running down that stock just to make sure we have the money back in our bank rather than just being sat on a shelf somewhere. So again, the whole process of tidying all this up is a never-ending task, to be honest. And I don't think we'll ever, I've come to the reality, I don't think we'll ever be done with it. But yeah, it's just something we keep trying to do as best we can, whilst also doing the installs, of course. Let's have a look at the job bays. So we've just had on Friday, we've just had a big pack go out to site, and we've had a load of equipment come back from the site as well. So we've got some of that to sort out. But that one, just some ladders to go to site tomorrow. This one is an install that we are doing week after next. Just a little, these are actually ICO 510s, and they're going onto a extension roof where we've already fitted a Libby battery storage system just on the grid charging only, but now he wants to add a couple of panels to his property. So that's going to go out on week after next. And then this one here, I am currently packing. So the panel buddy here is going to get stacked with a lot of panels. I think it's a Viridian in-roof system that we're doing. So that's going to be packed and sent out. We've got the SolarEdge battery, optimizers and everything like that ready to go. So I've just got to pack all of that and get that one ready. And now that I've released this bay, we can then pack for the next job. And that, again, as a business, when you've got so much money tied up in equipment, we want to be seeing that turnover of equipment, because it devalues as prices drop or equipment changes. So what the SolarEdge side of things has taught me, where we've had so much SolarEdge equipment, is that if you keep it for too long, you basically lose money on it because the price changes and everything. We bought that, probably most of that is over a year or two old, and the price was much more expensive at that point. So now we are pricing the SolarEdge equipment for where the price is now, fully understanding that that equipment was maybe, you know, a third more expensive when we initially bought it. But that's just the lessons we've learned, and so we're not making that mistake again. Which that's what business is all about, sort of learning from your mistakes. So yes, that's the job bays. We've not actually found the need. I wasn't sure if I was going to have to extend and have some more job bays kind of wrapping around here, but it's worked not so bad, to be honest. But as we grow the team, we may need more, but we'll see. At the minute, it's working pretty well as it is. And it's nice when you've got all 3 job bays full, organised and ready to go, because it gives you like that week or two's headroom into ordering the next equipment and seeing what you've got and everything. So it's nice to get them there, out of the general stock, and actually sat there ready to go out to jobs, and then we can assess what we've got. But yeah, that's the plan. If we head over here, so these are all of our power walls as well, and I've done some videos, and I think I mentioned at the start of this one about the issues we've had with selling the power walls and stuff like that. That's starting to come back a little bit. We've had a couple of jobs confirmed with the power walls as well, which is nice because I've got these ones sat here, and it is a really good product anyway. There's just been the whole political side of it that's affected the sales, I think, and the SIG Energy kit being really popular. So there's a couple of these, I think there's 2 or 3 of these that are going to be going into some of these job bays when they clear, which would be nice to run down that stock as well, and we can reassess how much of that we actually buy in the future as well. So yeah, there's a lot there. And I've also got all the mother-in-law's stuff as she's moved where she's living as well. So we're trying to clear some of that out as well to get our unit back. But that's kind of what we got here. There's not a lot of change really, but I like to try and give you a bit of an overview because it might be the first one you've watched. If you haven't watched some of these other unit renovation videos and kind of business updates, then you can go back and have a look at those. They're all on the channel. You can check in on all of those. But things are progressing really well. We're just trying to, every single week, trying to tweak things and make things better every single week because that adds up over the course of the year. But if you've got any questions or any recommendations for us in here, then drop them in the comments and I'll have a look. Okay, well that's the end of this little business update / unit update video. I need to really work on a better name for them. Hopefully by the next one I'll have a better name for you. But I'm just trying to do these videos as a bit of a marker for myself as well, so I can maybe look back at these over the next 5 years to see how far things have come or not come. We'll see. But also just to put out there that these things, that business is quite difficult and quite hard, and there's always these tricky decisions you've got to make, the things you get wrong, the things that you get right either by good judgment or luck as well. Not for any other reason than, like I've said, a bit of a reflection for myself, but also to spark some conversations. I certainly don't know all about everything about running a business, about renewables, about all that sort of stuff. So if you've got any suggestions or talking points or anything like that you want to suggest, then drop them in the comments and I'll go through it and have a little look, and then we may well incorporate that into a future video. But thanks very much for joining us, and again, please like, subscribe and all of that good stuff to help the channel grow. But thanks very much, and I'll see you on the next one.